What do you weigh right now?
I was 223.8 this
Oh,
morning.
you're not even going to make 212.
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with the 4 weeks out post Olympia physique update of John Jewett, the guy who competed in the men's open bodybuilding for the very first time. And quite honestly, he was able to beat some very good names, some very good bodybuilders of the men's open class. Now for some reason, John kinda faded from the prejudging to the finals, because just based on the scores from the Olympia prejudging, the man was very close to beating a former Miss Olympia and a 2 times Arnold Classic champion, Brennan Curry. So anywhere from 10th to 15th, that was where he would have realistically placed. And the man just did that. Now I would say John has made a very successful transition from the 212 into the men's open bodybuilding. And he outperformed a bunch of very great bodybuilders. Guys like Andre Presti, Hassan Mustafa, guys who tried their absolute best to win a pro show and get to the Olympia stage this year, but still could not do that. Not to mention guys like Muhammad Fada, John De La Rosa, and Bruno Santos. So I think John has to be one of those guys who has this ability, along with guys like Hadi and Derek, who can stay really lean throughout the year, throughout the off-season, and continue to put on some insane amount of muscle. So John made the most impressive physique transformation in terms of the size that he was able to pack on from last year to this year. So how much more can he improve? Especially his outer quad sweep. That is going to be really important, because if there was anything that John was lacking in that Olympia callout, that was an X-frame. And I think he is going to do extremely well if he has more V-taper. And I think if he can do that, he for sure is going to be top 10 at the Olympia next year.
You're about to have another pro win. Is it going to
I
be?
don't know. We'll see.
The question I want to ask you though is it going to be open or 212? Don't do 212. Come on. Be a
I don't
man.
know. We're gonna find out.
Seth Feroce makes it official that he is going to compete again next year, and he will ask his former coach, his all-time coach, Hadi to help him get ready for this one. And I have got to say, why not?
I'm gonna give Hani a call here, see if he wants to hang out, and then have him like kind of take the reins and be like, "Hey,
So
this is
Hani's
where you
gonna
should
so
go."
Hani's gonna coach you into the show.
I don't know. I gotta ask him. I have to.
He's
He's
gonna
a
coach
busy
you.
guy, dude. He's
He looks so lean at the moment, and the man is so round and so shredded, and the fans would absolutely love to see him back up on that stage after more than a decade. Now that being said, judging from the conditioning that he is in, especially in his most recent update, he might as well do the men's open bodybuilding instead of going back to the 212. I mean, he can suck down to make that 212 weight loss, but there is just no way he is gonna be able to hold on to all that muscle, because the man is already looking so damn shredded. So he is gonna for surely lose some muscle.
What do you weigh right now?
I was 223.8 this morning.
Oh, you're not even going to make 212. Are you? You already peeled.
Ah,
Grow to the show.
I mean, you could make 212, but
But then again, if Flexus was able to make that 212 for 7 years in a row, and Flex was a lot bigger than most of the 212 bodybuilders, including Seth at that time, then maybe Seth can do that as well. But that doesn't necessarily mean he is gonna look as good as he does right now. He is of course gonna lose some muscle, some pop, some fullness. So people are always curious about the cycles of all these IFB pros, and Seth has been as transparent as he has always been, because he revealed his stack as well. So it turns out he isn't running much at all. So test, Primo, and GH.
I'm test primo and growth right now.
yeah, but lots.
No, not
But like 3 grams.
between 600 and 800 a week, and then
of
test,
Primo.
of test, and then 450 primo.
I know there will be comments that he is misleading the audience, and people are gonna say he must be running a lot more than that. But I have got to say, when you have such seasoned muscles, you really do not need to run a lot. And that is being preached by all of these bodybuilders at the moment, especially in the recent past. So how do you guys think Seth will do on his comeback? So Mike Sommerfeld just dropped a bomb on all of his competition, who are determined to win the Classic Physique Olympia title next year. Because even after putting on 12 pounds of solid muscle, that too in just 1 year, And that combined with that insane level of conditioning that he brought to this year's Miss Olympia, and he was able to push a guy like Chris Bumstead, one of the most dominant champion of all time. So it turns out even after all that, Mike still has a few more pounds that he can put on his frame before he reaches his weight cap. And that, I have got to say, is gonna be scary for all of these other guys, because Mike is already qualified for the Olympia next year, and he has got so much time to improve on this current physique. Guys like Ramondino or Skleshinsky and all these other guys, they could only do so much when they are so restricted with the amount of food and the amount of muscle they can put on in the off-season phase, and consequently, their improvements, that is gonna be always limited. So Mike really took his physique to a whole different level this time, and he is gonna enter the Olympia next year as the favorite to win the Classic Physique Olympia title and be the fourth man since 2016 to be crowned Classic Physique Miss Olympia. Now I know so many people, they are just sleeping on Terence Ruffin, because the thing is, the fans in this current day and age, they have a very short-term memory, and Terence hasn't competed in more than 1 year now, so they all quickly forget how good of an athlete someone really was. And we have to keep in mind that Terence placed second behind Chris Bumstead for 2 years in a row. Plus, do not forget, he is the only one in the entire Classic Physique division who has won 2 Arnold Classic titles. The only man in that potential first call-out who can put on an insane amount of muscle and can make an unbelievable transformation that can rival the transformation done by Mike Sommerfeld this year. And he can really challenge him for the Olympia title. I mean, the man has 15 more pounds of room to get bigger, to grow, before he hits his weight cap. And no other guy is even close to having that much room. So the question right now is that, can Terence and Mike be the top 2 fighting for the Olympia title next year? I'm gonna say that is a possibility. But Terence really needs to be at his all-time best, especially in terms of conditioning. Because other than that, the man is very complete, front to back, top to bottom. And the one thing that Terence will be working on the hardest, especially for this upcoming Mr. Olympia, that is gonna be his arms, more specifically his biceps. Next up, we have an off-season physique update from Regan Grimes. So 300 pounds, that isn't something new for a guy like Regan, but he certainly hasn't looked this good at this body weight before. So apparently top 9 in the world. That still isn't good enough for many bodybuilding fans who still think that he is an Instagram bodybuilder. And I have got to say that is so unfair, especially after the way he looked at his last competition, the Olympia 2023, where he was able to crack top 10 and show up in the best condition of his life. So Regan isn't a gifted guy, in a sense that he cannot get really shredded. He has to really work for it. So he was able to beat Nathan Diasha in Spain last year, and that was a very close call, and Regan wasn't in an Olympia level conditioning. So the man pushed hard for another 6 weeks to be really competitive enough in that Olympia lineup, and that he was, and he was able to present his career's best. And sometimes it isn't the mistake of the bodybuilder himself. The people around him, they create so much hype, and the results become kinda disappointing. So in Regan's case, the real hype maker, that has always been his coach, Milos, who made a statement 2 years ago that Regan and him will try to win the Olympia title in 2 years. And that was being more delusional than Harsemdi thinking that he is gonna place top 3 at this year's Arnold. Now, absolutely no disrespect to any of these guys. Everyone who steps on a bodybuilding stage, they want to win. But some things are realistically possible, and some things are just not. So big things are expected of Regan in 2025, as he is making sure he makes the maximum out of this long off-season and really bring up his physique. Next up, we have today's update of the Persian Wolf, Hadi Chupan. Now, I am as surprised as you guys that Hadi Chupan has been posting these physique updates, even in this post-Olympia phase, because normally he takes a break from social media, from everything, after the season is over. So will Hadi Chupan be chasing more size for 2025? Because I do not think that is a good idea. Because the history has shown us that physique gets ruined over time, especially when all these guys chase size. Ronnie Coleman has been asked this question so many times that which is his favorite physique, and he would always either mention 1999 or 2001 Arnold, and those were the years when Ronnie was a bit smaller and a more streamlined version of himself. Phil Heath also picks the earlier versions of his physique to be his all-time favorites. Now in Hadi's case, there is only a certain amount of muscle he can pack on his frame before he starts to get a little blocky. Now I think all Hadi needs to do is to bring back this year's Arnold version. That physique will have a very good shot at reclaiming that Olympia title. And if he can improve on that, I think he is gonna be very, very dangerous. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.